Let us pray as we read the word. Lord, we commit this time unto you, that you will speak to us as we read through your word. We humble our hearts and accept your bidding. We pray that you will rebuke us where we need rebuking. You will encourage us where we need encouraging. We ask that, Father, by the time we're done out, we would have felt you speaking to us indeed. In Jesus' name, amen. We've been looking at the book of Isaiah, and it's really been a great journey. And by the grace of God, we are getting close to the end of the first part of Isaiah, which talks about God's judgment on the disobedient child, the house of Israel in totality. And it's been a great journey. And last week we started talking about chapter 25. And chapter 25, 26, 27 fall within the same section of the book. They introduce us to the end of the judgment part of the book, and they are connecting us between the end and the beginning of the next phase, which is the prophecy about the hope that is to come to the land of Israel. And today we're looking at this passage that forecasts, that looks into the future, that gives a sense of hope. And what these passages are showing us is, and even for the discussions that will come up after this section, they are showing us that indeed, when the Lord disciplines, He disciplines for the purpose of restoration. The Lord is not a human being. We are the ones that discipline out of anger and vengefulness and the desire to show authority or to inflict pain. So you see a father will discipline a child, and they don't want to talk to the child anymore. They don't want to provide for the child anymore. They are just so angry with the child. They throw away the child with the act. But that is not how the Lord does it. When the Lord disciplines, in fact, He hurts along with the child, and He welcomes the child back. And today we have a prelude. It gives us a prelude to what is about to come. So let's read Isaiah 26. We'll read the whole chapter. In that day, this song will be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city. He sets up salvation as walls and bulwarks. Open the gates that the righteous nation that keeps faith may enter in. You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. Trust in the Lord forever, for the Lord God is an everlasting rock. For he has humbled the inhabitants of the heights, the lofty city. He lays it low to the ground, casts it to the dust. The foot tramples it, the feet of the poor, the steps of the needy. The path of the righteous is level. You make level the path of the righteous. In the path of your judgment, O Lord, we wait for you. Your name and remembrance are the desire of our soul. My soul yearns for you in the night. My spirit within me earnestly seeks you. For when your judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world learn righteousness. If favor is shown to the wicked, he does not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness he deals corruptly and does not see the majesty of the Lord. O Lord, your hand is lifted up, but they do not seek it. Let them see your zeal for your people and be ashamed. Let the fire for your adversaries consume them. O Lord, you will ordain peace for us, for you have indeed done for us all our works. O Lord our God, other lords besides you have ruled over us, but your name alone we bring to remembrance. They are dead, they will not live. They are shamed, they will not arise. To that end you have visited them with destruction and wiped all remembrance of them. But you have increased the nation, O Lord. You have increased the nation. You are glorified. You have enlarged all the borders of the land. O Lord, in distress they sought you. They poured out a whispered prayer when your discipline was upon them. Like a pregnant woman, we weeps and cries out in her pangs when she is near to giving birth. So were we because of you, O Lord. We were pregnant, we wreathed, but we have given birth to women. We have accomplished no deliverance in the earth, and the inhabitants of the world have not fallen. Your dead shall live, their bodies shall rise. You who dwell in the dust awake and sing for joy. For your dew is a dew of light, and the earth will give birth to the dead. Come, my people, enter your chambers, and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while until the fury has passed by. For behold, the Lord is coming out from his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity, and the earth will disclose the bloodshed on it, and will no more cover its slain. Amen. Like we said, this passage is very similar to chapter 25, and it's a continuation of what the prophet is forecasting for the future. And if you read the first phrase or the first 3 words of this chapter, you are going to have an idea of what period the prophet is talking about. He says, in that day. Which day? In that day. It is generally thought that this day is the day that is to come, the day about the coming of the Lord Jesus, when he will come to establish his rule here on earth. And this just corroborates the point that has been made that Isaiah serves as a prophet that saw the future even before it came. What is described as the eagle-eyed prophet. He would talk about future events as if he was standing there and looking at them happen. So, and he talks about such events today. And what he's doing here, he crafted a song that will capture how the children of Judah will express their confidence in the Lord and what he has done amongst them. And you will see a lot of comparison that he's making between the children of Israel and their tormentors, the Assyrians, and the Babylonians, and how the Lord has sent them through, and the great future that the Lord is about to show them. So we are talking about this topic today based on that. The glory belongs to God. The glory belongs to God. Why does the glory belong to God? Why? The very first reason is because he gives perfect peace to the righteous. He gives perfect peace to the righteous. Isaiah paints the picture of a life settled in peace that defies the fiercest of political opposition and powers. The quality of the peace that the Lord gives has both eternal and earthly value, sustaining us here on earth and preparing us for life in heaven with him. Some values that we can think of really stand out from this peace that the Lord gives, which demands us to give him glory. The first thing that we will notice about this peace that the Lord gives is that the peace is protective. The peace is protective. So let's look at verse 1. It says, we have a strong city. We have a strong city. The description that Isaiah gives here is a description of a fortified city. A city that is protected. And how is it protected? It is strong, and he sets up salvation, he being the Lord, sets up salvation as walls and bulwarks, as hedges around it. Salvation is the protective shield that this city has. So the first thing you want to remember about this peace that the Lord gives, which demands us to give him glory, is that this peace is protected. At the very beginning of this song, we see the prophet introducing a fortified city. He calls it a strong city. It is characterized by a wall, and that wall is called salvation. Being saved by the Lord, this city will be indestructible. Nothing will destroy it, the New Jerusalem. And I'm really thinking, why would Isaiah use salvation as a metaphor to describe a city? And by the way, you know what a city is. If you go to chapter 5 of Isaiah that we read, there was a parable or a song about the beloved who put everything in a garden and expected the garden to yield fruit. And the garden did not yield fruit. He got really disappointed. And what was the fruit? Righteousness and justice. So what did he do? He got angry and he went and tore down the walls. He destroyed everything so that foxes and thieves will come in and ravage the garden. So a city that does not have walls is not protected. A city is totally ruined and exposed to all forms of danger from invaders when its walls are broken. And this city is characterized by salvation as its protective wall. So God's peace protects. The prophet uses the metaphor of salvation as the fortification of this city, and this typifies the protection that the salvation of the Lord brings upon the children of the Lord. And biblical writers have actually shown us how salvation serves as the protection of God's people. For example, if you go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 8 or Ephesians chapter 6 verse 18, it talks about salvation as what? The helmet. The helmet of salvation. And I'm thinking, why will salvation serve? Why would the helmet be used to describe salvation? And I remember a video that I watched in Asia about a man, a bike rider, who was very impatient. I think he must be a Nigerian living in that country, and he wouldn't be patient. So there was a long line of trucks, and he wanted to maneuver through the trucks. So when he did the first turn, he passed. The second one, he just slipped off, and he fell right under the truck, and the truck went over him. You could almost cringe, because you're already thinking about what you see. You will see tissues and brain tissues and white matter, gray matter coming out his head. But lo and behold, this guy stood up. Why? He had a helmet. He had a helmet. So you could actually see the truck climb his head and elevated his head and came down. But this guy survived it because the helmet. That is what salvation is. The protection. If you go to Psalm 18 verse 35, the psalmist describes salvation as a shield. Protects from arrows. And you can think about why David would describe salvation as a shield, being a warrior, right? But it just shows us that the protection is only found in salvation that the Lord brings. For there is no danger as one facing the being under the tyranny of sin and an impending eternal damnation. So even when they are protected, they seem to have a wall, and the Lord does not say they are truly not protected. That the real protection that they receive is actually from the salvation of the Lord, saving them from their enemies, but also establishing a relationship with them. The second feature of this peace is that the peace is perfect. It is perfect. Let's go to verse 3. You keep him in perfect peace. And that word that is used for peace there, shalom, which is a very popular word, it does not describe the absence of war. Sometimes we confuse the absence of violence or rancor as peace. When I took the course conflict resolution with a very renowned peace and conflict resolution manager, Gopanta Kida, here in JEX, he told us that when we see violence, we actually know that a resolution is beginning to happen in the lack of peace. So violence is actually an indication that the discord, the disagreement has gotten to the peak and is beginning to come down the curve. So violence is not the peak of disagreements. But what really happens when people are not talking is actually the one that we should be afraid of. So some people can pretend like everything is fine, but really things are not fine. So that it is the essence, the deep-rooted conditions and inclinations and perceptions of people that describe peace. So that is not what the prophet is talking about here. He is describing a peace that is whole. It is wholesome. He's describing a peace that is healthy, that has a quiet soul, that is preservative and is complete. I remember hearing a story once about a contest that took place for artists, and they were asked to go and paint peas. Just go and paint peas. So one of them went and he painted a man sitting on maybe you can call it a yacht on the sea, and the waves were just calm, and the waters were blue, the skies were blue, the birds were flying, and he had a cup of wine, just sucking in the beauty of the sun and enjoying it and looking at nature, and he titled it Peace. Then the second one painted a very wealthy man. He had a mansion with everything he needed inside. You can think of it as a modern house that had all the stuff that you want there. Maybe he had a lot of Wi-Fi with unlimited data, satellite television, and he had a lot of food, and maybe he could depict him with some money in his bank account. He had stewards serving him, and he was just fine. He didn't have any problems, and he titled it Peace. The third painter painted chaos. There was something like a storm happening, and roofs were falling off, branches were falling off their stems, and there was commotion. People were running helter-skelter, and leaves were waving from one place to another, and there was a lot of rumble, and water was uncontrollable. But there was this tiny little bird that stood at a branch, and he just stood quiet there and was just looking at everything. And he titled it Peace. And he won the contest. Why? Because that is the truest peace. The peace that exists in the midst of all disagreements, all chaos, all problems, all the discomforts. That is the peace. That is the peace that is perfect. It is perfect. And from Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3, Paul writes about it in Philippians 4. Let's go there. This verse that we're about to read is a direct lift from Isaiah 26. Let's start from verse 4. It says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." Again, I will say rejoice. Let your reasonableness be known to everyone. The Lord is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your minds in Christ Jesus. The peace suppresses all understanding. Like people will look at you and, how comes you're calm with all of this stuff happening? No wonder there's no circumstance, event, or situation that can inviolate this peace. It is that kind of peace that enables believers to sleep soundly in the midst of the storms of their lives. Nothing is able to tamper with this kind of peace. With this kind of peace, let everyone be a kidnapper around you. With this kind of peace, let the economy go terrible and more than terrible. With this kind of peace, let every form of leadership trample against your rights. With this kind of peace, have nothing in your bank, and you will still sleep. It is perfect. Our peace does not depend on the events of the world. Neither does it depend on the political alliances that we can make or the mundane achievements of our lives, but on the eternal promises of the Lord. Praise the Lord. That is the kind of peace that believers have. So I believe this peace is for the righteous. It is not for the ungodly, it is for the righteous. Let's go back to our passage. It says, from verse 3, you keep him in peace, whose mind is what? Is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. He says, trust in the Lord forever, for the Lord God is an everlasting rock. From verse 7, the path of the righteous is level. You make level the way of the righteous. In the path of your judgments, O Lord, we wait for you. Your name and remembrance are the desire of our soul. What is the most natural thing that believers do? Believers always forget the Lord when there is peace. When everything goes well, we forget the Lord. No wonder when we forget the Lord, the peace goes away. Now Isaiah is telling us something counterintuitive here. He's telling us that, hey, when you get this peace, you stay with the Lord. You don't leave the Lord. So while we live in the world that actually shows us that luxury and pleasure and leisure and all of those things define our ways, actually Isaiah is telling us this should define the Lord's way in our lives. It has been shown over history that in order to weaken the power and potency of believers, our comfort should be given. We should be given our comfort. So, when believers enjoy life, we begin to forget the Lord. That is unbiblical, and that is the prescription for the loss of our peace. Let me tell you, maybe we can dream of the impossible. You know, the problem in Nigeria right now is this whole divide about, federal character, religion, and all of those things. So, the top amongst them is the fact that a particular religion owns all the most important positions in our country, from the top to whatever level you can think of. Now let's imagine, let's say we slept and we woke up and an angel of the Lord came and reshuffled everything in our country, and we woke up to a brand new country with everything that we want. The president has become a Christian. The IGP is a Christian, the SS director, everything, chief of army staff, the Senate president, they've all become Christian. Not only that, they have given every Christian the right to go to every mosque and preach the gospel to the policeman. Nobody will harass you. Not only that, they've collected all bank accounts of Christians. Every single morning you get a 1 million naira alert. Not only that, every Christian is going to have a house to the 5th generation. we enjoy all of that, and then we are unrighteous, there will be no peace. But let it be that every leadership stands against believers. Let it be that even to preach your religion is a crime in our country. Let it be that you have nothing, but you're righteous. That is peace. Because how does Isaiah say it here? He said that there's perfect peace for who? The person that stays in the Lord. And you know, if you continue reading, you will see how the hunger for the Lord is in an increasing measure. That even with the peace they get, they never cease to want for the Lord. You know, I'm thinking about staying in the Lord, continually looking for Him and seeking for His face. I remember this analogy about taking tea. Taking tea. You know, it is said, in fact, it is written on most of the boxes. If you leave the tea to stay in the hot water for 5 minutes, you are actually going to get the best from it. 5 minutes, you get the best from it. Some are 3 minutes. But you know, we are very impatient, right? We just put it and just go. And you know, because we're in a hurry for it to sit, you know, we do it for maybe 1 minute and we're ready to fold it and throw it out. And we don't even enjoy 50% of it. But if you drop it, go home and try it. Drop it in your hot water, leave it to go 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and see what happens. You begin to see the substance, you begin to see it just seeping down at the bottom of your table, of your cup rather. You just see it coming out. When you just pick it and just dip it this way, and everything just comes out. Staying, that is what the Lord is asking for you. Staying. It's not that when we enjoy the peace, we say, Lord, I have got enough supply for now. You can just wait there. Let me go and enjoy it. When it's done, I'll come back. Then we get out. We go do our thing. And then when we hit the rocks, when the consequences of our actions meet us, we, oh no, I have left the path. I used to be a good person, this and that and that. And we begin to come back. But we can actually avoid that. It is perfect, that peace. In Psalm 85, verse 10, I love how that passage sounds. Psalm 85, verse 10. Steadfast love and faithfulness meet, righteousness and peace kiss each other. Righteousness and peace, you can never separate them. If you continue reading in chapter 26, you will see the opposite of that. How the ungodly suffer punishment from the Lord, which is a direct opposite of that. In Psalm 27 from verse 1 to 3, the psalmist writes about how the Lord is his light and his salvation, and there's nothing he will be afraid of. And he describes all forms of evil and danger that comes his way. And then he ended with saying, even so, I'll be confident. The second reason why the Lord deserves the glory is because He shames and disciplines the unrighteous. He shames and disciplines the unrighteous. One thing we have to know about the unrighteous is that they were living in the land together with the righteous. Verse 10b, in the land of the uprightness, he deals corruptly and does not see the majesty of the Lord. Let me start from the beginning actually of verse 10. It says, if favor is shown to the wicked, he does not learn righteousness. In the land of the unrighteousness, of the uprightness, he deals corruptly and does not see the majesty of the Lord. O Lord, your hand is lifted up, but they do not see it. Let them see your zeal for your people and be ashamed. Let the fire of your adversaries consume them. So what the prophet is describing here is the life of a wicked person that has refused to see both the favor of the Lord and the punishment of the Lord. He that he can see what the Lord is doing, but then he doesn't accept it. Many wicked people do not learn righteousness when God bestows his grace. They learn it only when he judges them. And living where righteousness of God is revealed, many people still do not live righteously. A favorable environment, this shows us, is not enough to make us good people. Hanging out with believers, carrying the form of religion, the form of Christianity, does not make us good people. What makes us? There must be a change of heart. The heart has to change. The heart has to change. It is the Lord's desire that the unrighteous are saved. He sends his goodness, but thinking it is his right, the unrighteous rejects the goodness. Then the Lord sends his punishment. Thinking the punishment is unfair, the unrighteous rejects the punishment. Even though they have to go through it, they blind their eyes to the works of the Lord. This is not a new thing. And actually what Isaiah was talking about is a thing that was about to happen, or is still going to happen. In Revelation chapter 9 from verse 20 to 21, that after the tribulation, as the prophet John, it's Johann, right? In Hebrew, right? Yeah, so when the prophet John was talking about it, he describes the tribulation. And he mentioned that even after the power of the Lord has been revealed, and they will survive the tribulation, the Lord will be presented to them, and they will still reject him. They will still reject him. But the Lord is determined to shame the wicked, truly. He's determined to shame the wicked. If you read in the passage of that we've been reading, that even when he shows favor, they refuse discipline, they refuse to acknowledge the majesty of the Lord. The Lord will lift up his hands, even when they do not see it, he will still do it. You will ordain peace, the Lord will still go on to ordain peace for the righteous. So that when they see the peace that comes upon the righteous, shame comes upon them. Paul describes this in Romans chapter 8, verse 5 to 8. Those who live according to the sinful nature have their minds set on what that nature desires. But those who live in accordance with the Spirit have their minds set on what the Spirit desires. The mind of sinful man is death, but the mind controlled by the Spirit is life and peace. The sinful mind is hostile to God. It does not submit to God's law, nor can it do so. Those controlled by the sinful nature cannot please God. They cannot please God. What kind of a heart lives in you? That even when the Lord is good, you do not recognize him. And even when he brings down his discipline, you cannot accept it and turn to him. Why do we glorify the Lord? Because he gives life. And the life that the prophet describes here is eschatological in nature. He's talking about the resurrection of the righteous, which is the most hopeful thing that we ever have as believers, knowing that there's life after this life, that life continues after this life. And if you look at what he says, he describes vividly what even the New Testament writers have been describing. After describing the pain and horror that comes with life here, from verse 16, in verse 19 he says, your dead shall live, their bodies shall rise. You who dwell in the dust awake and sing for joy, for your dew is a dew of light, and the earth will give birth to the dead. Come, my people, Enter your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourselves for a little while until the fury has passed by. That just describes the tribulation there. But you know, it gives us hope for what is about to come. I remember listening to one of the top atheists that we have. I think it was Dawkins in America. Very interesting man. And when he was asked, when you die, what happens? He said, that's all. That's all. So why do you leave? Well, I just leave. But believers are the only people in the world that live with a sense of hope, knowing that there is a transformation that takes place after we leave this place. A transformation that takes us into a higher state. A higher state both bodily and spiritually. That we get to meet our Lord and live with Him. And see the description that is given here of the resurrection of the righteous. In fact, you can look at some things that characterize this resurrection. The first is that indeed the dead will rise. The dead will rise. And we will see them. I'm going to see my Father. I will see Him. You know, sometimes I go to bed and wish this man will just come by and just show me his face. But you know, when I'll be seeing Him, I'll be seeing the old Him. And that is not Him. I'll see my grandfather and my grandmother. I'll see my friend Ethan. So they will rise. He says, your dead will live. Their bodies shall rise. How will their bodies rise? Their bodies will not only be reconstructed, they will be resurrected, they will be transformed. There will be new bodies. We're not going to see a cripple. We will not see a wrinkled face. We will see smiles. We'll see beautiful people in heaven. No ugly, no ugly. Apart from that, each of the resurrected will have special quarters. Verse 20. Come, my people, enter your chambers. Enter your chambers. And see how he describes it. He says, when you enter these chambers, lock the door behind you. Come on. You leave everything behind. All of the hurts, all of the pain, all of the suffering, everything, broken relationships, disappointments, weaknesses, the struggle against it, everything. He says, when you enter those chambers, you lock that door and it's a new life. Praise the Lord. I look forward to that. I look forward to that. So that any believer that lives and does not look forward to heaven, we can really ask them, are you a believer? Are you a believer? Hide yourselves for a while until the fury has passed by. We shall leave everything behind and hold on to that new thing that the Lord has made for us. As I conclude, I want to remind you these facts. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what's in your life right now. Disappointments and hurts, lack and needs, fear. You know, I've never been afraid in my country like I have now. Maybe it's because I have 2 children and a wife. Maybe that's the reason. But I have never felt so insecure like now. I'm consistently looking at the mirror of my car, who is driving behind me, and for how long they've been driving behind me. I'm consistently thinking, is my door locked? When it's 7 p.m., I'm confused. Should I go out with my phone or not? You know, 2 Sundays ago, a thief came to our house. And she came with a car. Yes. It's a young lady. That my brother, our neighbor, could not go to church that day because of what happened. Because when we figured out that this was what happened, we just went out, she was no more, and lo, a car turned by Barrister Cuban's house and just passed on. That is it. I am angry. The other day I sat in the house and I tried to find my house on Google Maps. And I saw my house there. I saw my car parked. I posted it on WhatsApp for some of you that saw that. And I said, let me try to dazzle Pastor Buza. So I did for Upper Seminary Church. And lo and behold, this building was there, the pictures, everything. And I labeled his house as number 1, the generator room as number 2, the car park number 3, the new custodian number 4. And I said, courtesy Google. But do you know the angry part of it? Why can't we use this to catch criminals? Why? That common me with my smartphone, I can sit at home and do these things. I used a drone last weekend. A drone went all the way to the skies, you cannot see it. It can go 5 miles ahead of you. And you still come, so it shows you GPS coordinates and everything. And it was taking surveillance of everything that was around. And I'm like, you mean, and this belonged to a civilian, an architect that uses this thing for architectural purposes. We can use this for security. I am angry. But do you know what? When I was reading this passage, it tells me that, hey, your security does not belong to this. Let every individual in Nigeria have a policeman beside him. Let our security system be so perfect that when a criminal just breathes their intention, they just breathe it. I want to kidnap. The police will just arrest him. Let it be that way. Brothers, that is not our peace. And that is what I want to encourage you today. And today I'm going to live my life as a free person, enjoying my work as a free citizen of heaven, and not only a free citizen of Nigeria. And let whatever, do whatever. You know, when we met Dr. Micah, we were encouraged. We saw a believer. You know, he came down and he was talking to everyone. He seems like this is the part of life. And my peace will not be taken away by this thing. In fact, he went out looking we wanted to boil water for him to take his bath. And he was the one that went out looking for the matches and all of that. You know, and he was talking about it and laughing and telling us how the guys took the blankets from his house and they told him you will need this on the way. You know. And when they go to sleep, the Oga will even come and latch in and cover the blanket with him, and the boys will be standing. But you will see a man at peace. I want you to enjoy your peace. But ultimately, peace is salvation. All of these things that we are saying are for people that have Jesus. If you do not have Jesus, you will never enjoy this peace. And I want to challenge you today that if you don't have Jesus, today is the day that you open your heart and tell Jesus, Lord, take this heart. And even if the circumstances of this world have stolen your freedom away from you, say, Jesus, take this fear and fill me with your peace. You want to come? Let's meet and talk. If you don't know Jesus and you're living under the fear of the world, come around. Let's talk. Let us pray. Amen. Know Jesus, ask Jesus into your heart now. And if you're struggling with your life as a believer, you have enjoyed so much gifts from the Lord that you've wandered far away from Him, tell Him, Lord, I'm coming back. Or if you're living in fear, ask God to fill your heart with His sense of peace. Ask especially that righteousness will be the watchword of your life. Tell God, I want to stay in you. I want to trust in you. That neither pain nor pleasure will take me away from you.
Thank you, Father, for your salvation that has given us peace that surpasses human understanding. To you be all glory, honor, and adoration. Thank you for speaking to us and encouraging us with all of these challenges that we are facing in our nation. Your word has assured us through the words of Christ in the book of John, when Jesus tells us that my peace I give unto you, not the way the world gives peace. That in this world, in this life, we'll have troubles, but that we rest assured that we are in our hearts well assured that you have overcome the world. We thank you for your peace. It's sad that many do not know you, many do not have you. Please, Lord, speak to their hearts, if there is any of them here, that they will come to your saving knowledge and receive your peace today. Thank you for answering our prayers. We ask in Jesus' name. Amen.